Hey, I want to talk today about this incredible chorus pedal. It's pretty versatile, does a lot of different things, more than just straightforward chorus. This is the EarthQuaker device's C Machine chorus. And if you look at it, there's quite a lot of different controls on there. It does straightforward chorus. It's got your depth and rate, just like your Boss Chorus CE2 pedal or any straightforward chorus pedal would have, but it has a few other things on here: shape, dimension, intensity, and animate. The rate obviously controls the speed of the LFO, the depth, how much of that modulated sound is going to be blended with the dry signal. Then you have a shape control, which changes the shape of the wave, of the sound wave, from a soft triangle to a hard square. The intensity changes how much the LFO modulates the delay time. The dimension control adds a little bit of slap back. This is what the instructions are saying. A little bit of slap back at the low setting. The mid setting, it gives a reverb-like ambience and a kind of an echo resonance when you turn it all the way up. The Animate control controls how far the pitch shifted signal swings. So kind of tighter and more focused when it's down low, and when you turn it up it swings pretty crazily. You kind of use that one to get the sound to be more wild. So if you want a straightforward chorus pedal, this is probably not it, although it can do those sounds. This does a lot more than that, particularly when you start bringing in that reverb ambience and just getting a little crazier with the sound. You can get some beautiful things that are beyond your standard chorus pedal. So let's go ahead and have a listen to it. This is the dry sound. And just for comparison, I have a Boss CE2 chorus pedal, and with the depth and the rate at noon, just pointing straight up, so halfway. The C Machine comes with an instruction, and it gives a helpful instruction for how to start out. And it says to start out with a basic chorus sound. It's recommending that you keep the dimension, shape, and animate all the way off. And then you're going to keep the depth and rate about halfway at noon. You're going to use the intensity to just adjust that to taste. And then slowly bring in dimension to give it more atmosphere, and then bring in animate to make it wild, turn the shape up and destroy it. If I do what's asked there and just give the rate and the depth at halfway and a little bit of intensity, maybe a quarter, less than a quarter, this is the sound, which is pretty beautiful. Let's just check that with the chorus pedal, the Boss pedal, as an A/B test. That's the chorus. It's a nice sound. This is the C Machine. Which is very beautiful. Now what you can do is let's just put the intensity all the way up just as a counterpoint. So already you can start to see how weird this pedal can get. But let me keep the intensity relatively low, and I'm going to bring the depth up quite a bit. And you can already see that this is a very versatile pedal. It's going to, you can already hear the beauty of that sound. It's just beautiful. Putting the depth back down a little bit. The dimension, as we said in the instructions, the dimension gives you a little slapback effect if it's low. We're going to put it on low, and you can kind of hear that quick recoil. And at higher levels, it adds more of a reverb-like ambience. The higher you turn the dimension up, the more it gets to kind of what they call an echo resonance. Just bringing the dimension back down a little bit and getting us back to that kind of standard sound. This pedal says that it works really well after dirty pedals and distortion and noisier pedals, so you can put it downstream from that and it works pretty well. That's just a little bit of the chorus. Let me add some more depth and rate. I tend to think it gets buried a little bit. I'm going to bring the dimension up just to add a bit more kind of echo on top of that. Adding progressively more of the dimension, you definitely get more of an echo going on. So it works well with the distortion on, but honestly I think testing it out clean tone gives you just a better indication of how the sounds work. So keeping the shape and animate off with the rate halfway and the depth all the way, the dimension all the way, and the intensity at about 40%, I tend to think that gives a really beautiful, distinct signature sound. You don't really get that from a Boss chorus pedal. It's a little kind of rock the boat motion, but it doesn't get too seasick. Remember how it used to be, when the sun would fill the sky. Remember how we used to feel, those days would never end. Those days would never end. Gives a really distinct and beautiful and sweet sound, but believe me, that's not all this thing can do. Let's try to add some of the other craziness in here. I'm going to keep the dimension at full and the depth at full, and I'm going to bring the intensity up a little over halfway. Starting to get a little nutty. Now if I bring the animate in, let's just put it halfway. You can see the effect of the animate when you start to adjust the rate. Without the animate on, it's a little crazy because of the intensity, but when you bring the animate into the mix, even with the rate turned down, it's starting to sway a little bit like a boat in a storm. Bring the rate all the way up with that animate halfway. The swaying is so quick, the oscillation is so quick, it just almost sounds like a weird vibrato effect. Let's bring the animate all the way up. Even though the oscillation is quite quick, there's so much of it that it has an effect. You can kind of feel it in your gut. Bring the rate down to slow that effect. Someone's tuning and detuning your guitar while you're playing it, almost like using the vibrato bar to keep the guitar just from going slightly in and out of tune while you're playing. We wouldn't want to do full chords on this. It sounds pretty goddamn weird, but for individual notes, how often would you use that in the middle of a song or a gig? I don't know, but it's a very distinct sound that you could probably do something with. Haven't even changed the shape of the sound yet. I'm going to put the animate halfway and put the rate back to halfway. So we have intensity just a little over halfway, animate halfway, depth and dimension all the way up, rate at about 40%. And here comes the shape, adjusting the shape to about 30%. What I like about experimenting with this pedal is using the rate to slow the rate down all the way or bring it all the way up allows you to kind of familiarize yourself with what's really going on when you adjust the shape and animate and intensity, because otherwise it's just very hard to see what you've changed. But the rate allows you to slow and speed the effect up a little bit. If we bring the shape up even further, quite a pitch bend happening. That's with the shape all the way up and the animate halfway and the rate about halfway. The pitch bends are so intense that it's like 4 guitars playing out of tune with each other. If you bring the rate all the way up. And we talked about the depth to just see how much the dry sound you want. So you can do that. Bring the depth all the way down a little bit so you can hear the dry sound and what the actual guitar should sound like, and just have that weird effect in the background. Now with the shape all the way up and the animate all the way up, the lower the rate, the slower that rock back and forward. So with the shape and the animate all the way up, you definitely get these bizarre fluctuating sounds. But by controlling the dimension, you can just limit how much delay is being added to it, so it makes it a little more palatable. With almost no dimension, with half dimension, still not as crazy, but if you add all the dimension to it, it goes completely wild. And let me put the rate up a little bit. So I'm going to put the rate just at halfway, and the dimension and the shape are all the way. Intensity, depth, and animate all the way too. The C machine has a very bright blue-white LED light that it flashes when the rate cycle begins and ends. That blue-white LED light really flashes pretty brightly, so it can be blinding when you're actually looking at the pedal and trying to see the settings. For me, I've actually put a little bit of masking tape over that just to diminish the effect. Let's put the rate all the way up, so we've got pretty much everything all the way totally full. So that's a long way from just starting off with a fairly standard chorus sound. The sound I really like is bringing the rate all the way down, the dimension all the way up, and just keeping the depth at halfway and a little bit of intensity, maybe a third of the way. But as you can see, you can get a lot of crazier sounds out of it. shape and the Animate are what make this pedal a little bit special, a little bit different. And for me, the dimension just gives it that beautiful combination of slapback or reverb or echo that just makes this very atmospheric and very ambient. So, you know, you can just play around with these things and get some pretty beautiful shapes. Look, if you just want straightforward chorus, stick to your Boss CE2, no one's going to argue with you. But if you want to have fun, EarthQuaker devices make some pretty cool equipment, and this definitely can't go too wrong with it. So, as always, click subscribe and the little bell icon to get notified when I post new content. Thanks for watching.